My beloved child. There are moments in life that look ordinary to everyone else. Yet in the unseen corners of destiny, they become unforgettable. The day this person first saw you was one of those moments. And no, it was not casual for them. It was not random. It was not something they brushed off and forgot. Because while others may have seen you as just another face in the crowd, this person felt something shift inside them the instant their eyes met yours. Something they could not explain. Something they tried to dismiss. Something that followed them long after that first moment was over. Listen carefully. They knew. Not logically. Not perfectly. Not with complete understanding. But deep inside, they knew there was something about you that would not leave them the same. And what frightened them most was how fast it happened. Because people spend months trying to decide if what they feel is real. This person did not have that luxury. The feeling struck them immediately. Like their soul recognized something before their mind had time to question it. And even now, they replay that first moment more than you realize. They remember details you do not even know they noticed. The way you looked when you were not trying. The energy you carried when you thought no one was paying attention. The expression on your face when you laughed. The quiet mystery in your eyes. The presence about you that made the entire room feel different. They noticed all of it. And that is when everything changed. Because from that moment on, you stopped being just another person in their world. You became the person. The one they compared everyone else to. The one they secretly searched for in every room. The one they thought about during random quiet moments. The one whose presence could affect their entire day. But here is what you must understand. Knowing they loved you did not make things easier for them. It made things harder. Because some people are not prepared for a love that arrives without warning. Some people panic when something feels too real too fast. And this person. They panicked. They tried to act normal. Tried to suppress what they felt. Tried to convince themselves they were imagining it. But no matter how much distance they created, their heart kept returning to you. Even when they avoided you. They thought about you. Even when they stayed silent. They imagined what they wished they could say. Even when they pretended not to care. Their emotions betrayed them in private. Do not miss this. The reason their behavior has sometimes felt confusing is because they have been fighting feelings they never expected to have. They did not plan for you. They were not looking for this. They did not wake up one day prepared to meet someone who would quietly shake their entire emotional world. Yet that is exactly what happened. And the more they tried to deny it, the stronger it became. Because real connection does not weaken when ignored. It deepens. Silently. Steadily. Relentlessly. There were nights they sat alone thinking about you. Wondering why your name kept echoing in their thoughts. There were moments they caught themselves smiling because of a memory of you. And then immediately looked away, almost embarrassed by how much power you had over them. There were conversations where your name came up, and their entire energy shifted. Others noticed, even if they never admitted it. People around them could tell there was something different in the way they spoke about you. Something softer. Something deeper. Something unguarded. Because no matter how carefully they tried to hide it, their heart has always revealed the truth. And the truth is this: they loved you long before they understood what they were feeling. They loved you before they had the courage to name it. Before they knew what to do with it. Before they could accept how deeply you had already reached into them. But there is more. What they felt that first day was not only attraction. It was recognition. That strange, impossible feeling of meeting someone and sensing, somehow, they matter. That they are going to change something in your life. That your story and theirs are not crossing by accident. That is why your presence unsettled them. Because you did not feel temporary. You felt important. And when someone feels important too quickly, it terrifies people who have been hurt before. So yes, there were times they pulled away. Times they became distant. Times they acted colder than they truly felt. But understand this clearly. Distance was never proof they stopped caring. It was proof they cared so much that it overwhelmed them. Because when feelings become too powerful, immature hearts run before they speak. And this person has been running from the intensity of what they feel. Yet no matter where they go, they keep finding themselves emotionally pulled back toward you. Why? Because some connections are not silenced by distance. Some bonds grow louder in absence. And every attempt they made to forget you only reminded them how impossible that truly was. Even when life distracted them, you returned to their thoughts. Even when they met others, something was missing. Even when they told themselves to move on, their heart refused to cooperate. Because what they felt the first day never faded. It evolved. It became deeper than attraction. Deeper than curiosity. Deeper than fascination. It became longing. The kind of longing that lingers in quiet hours. The kind that makes someone wonder what could have been. Or what still might be. And now, they are reaching a point where silence is becoming unbearable. Because holding in love is exhausting. Pretending not to feel is exhausting. Watching you from a distance while carrying all of this inside them is exhausting. Something inside them is changing. Their fear is losing power. Their hesitation is weakening. Their emotions are rising louder than their excuses. And whether they speak tomorrow, or later than expected, the truth inside them is becoming impossible to contain. Because some confessions are delayed, but never denied forever. You may think they have hidden it well. You may think perhaps you imagined the tension. The glances. The strange emotional pull between you. But no. You were feeling something real. Because from the moment they first saw you, their world shifted. And even if they have not found the words yet, even if they have not made the move yet. Even if pride, fear, timing, or confusion has delayed everything. Their heart has known the truth from the beginning. You were never ordinary to them. Never forget that. To them, meeting you felt like the beginning of something they could not explain. And what is building beneath the surface now? What they have tried to hide. What they have tried to suppress. What they have tried to outgrow. Is nearing a breaking point. Because when love stays hidden too long, it eventually demands to be revealed. And very soon. Very, very soon. Something they have held inside for far too long may finally begin to surface. Because the story did not end when they first saw you. That was only the moment it began. And what happened after that first realization? What they did in secret. What they told no one. And the decision they are now wrestling with is even bigger than you think. To be continued. There were nights when they told themselves they were over it. Nights when they promised their own heart that whatever they felt for you would fade if they simply waited long enough. But every promise they made to forget you collapsed the moment your name crossed their mind again. And that is what has unsettled them most. Because they are not confused anymore about whether they feel something. They know. What confuses them now is how someone can hold this much love in silence for so long. Because what they never told you, what they never let anyone fully understand, is that after that first moment they saw you, they began watching life differently. Every place they went felt different if you were there. Every room became brighter when you entered. Every conversation became background noise when your voice appeared. You became the center of moments you did not even realize you were part of. And they hated how little control they had over that. Because this was not a small crush. Not temporary fascination. Not shallow attraction that disappears when reality sets in. No. This was the kind of feeling that roots itself deep before logic has a chance to intervene. The kind that makes someone stare at the ceiling at night asking themselves impossible questions. Why them? Why now? Why does this feel bigger than anything before? And every time they asked those questions, the answer remained the same. Because something about you reached places in them no one else ever touched. Not because you tried. Not because you forced anything. Not because you chased them. Simply because your existence carried something familiar to their soul. And that terrified them. Because when someone affects you without trying, without demanding attention, without begging to be loved, that kind of presence is unforgettable. They realized early that this was dangerous for them. Dangerous because if they let themselves fall fully, they would fall harder than ever before. So they resisted. They told themselves to slow down. To be rational. To protect their heart. To stay detached. But every attempt at emotional distance only deepened the attachment. Because restraint does not erase real love. It sharpens awareness of it. They began noticing everything. The smallest shifts in your mood. The subtle differences in your voice. The way your energy changed depending on what you were feeling. The hidden sadness behind smiles others overlooked. The strength in you did not even know was visible. They saw more than they ever admitted. And somewhere along the way, their feelings transformed from attraction into admiration. Then admiration into emotional attachment. Then emotional attachment into something they could no longer deny. Love. Real love. The kind that does not appear all at once, but builds so deeply it changes the way someone sees their future. And yes, they have imagined a future with you. More times than they will ever confess. They have pictured conversations that never happened. Moments they wish they had created. Versions of reality where fear did not stop them from stepping forward sooner. They have imagined what it would feel like to tell you everything. To finally admit that the reason they act strange around you. The reason their emotions shift in your presence. The reason they can never seem completely normal when you are near. Is because their heart has belonged to you longer than you know. But then fear returns. Because love makes people brave. And vulnerable at the same time. And vulnerability has always been their battle. They fear being misunderstood. They fear being rejected. They fear exposing feelings this deep only to discover the timing is wrong. They fear losing even the connection they currently have with you by risking honesty. So instead of speaking, they stayed silent. But silence has not protected them. It has only made the emotions louder. Because unspoken love does not disappear. It grows heavier. It turns ordinary moments into emotional storms. A glance becomes too meaningful. A small interaction becomes unforgettable. A brief conversation gets replayed for hours. And that has been their reality. You may have thought your interactions were small. But to them, they were everything. One smile from you could stay with them all day. One unexpected message could shift their entire mood. One moment of closeness could keep their heart racing long after you walked away. You affected them more than they ever let show. And there is something else you need to know. They have tried to replace what they feel for you. Tried to distract themselves. Tried to move their attention elsewhere. Tried to convince themselves someone easier would make more sense. But every comparison failed. Because no one else carried what you carried. No one else made them feel seen in the same way. No one else stirred their spirit the way you did. No one else left behind the same emotional imprint. And eventually they had to accept the truth. This was not going away. You were not a passing thought. Not a temporary obsession. Not a lesson. You became the standard their heart could not lower. That realization changed everything. Because once someone understands their feelings are real, the next battle begins. The battle between confession and continued silence. And that is exactly where they are now. Caught between the overwhelming need to tell you. And the terrifying fear of what happens after. Because if they speak, everything changes. No more pretending. No more hidden glances. No more secret feelings disguised as ordinary behavior. It becomes real. And real things are harder to hide from. That is why they have been hesitating. Not because they feel nothing. Because they feel too much. Because when love becomes this deep, people start understanding the weight of what they are risking. But hear this carefully. The pressure inside them is building. Each day they stay silent. The truth becomes harder to contain. Each interaction with you reminds them what is at stake. Each moment of distance makes them question how much longer they can continue pretending. And lately, they have been reaching emotional limits they did not expect. Because something has shifted. They are beginning to understand that silence may cost them more than honesty ever could. That fear may protect them from rejection. But it also guarantees regret. And regret has started haunting them. They wonder. What if they wait too long? What if someone else steps into your life? What if they lose the chance they were too afraid to take? What if the greatest connection they ever felt becomes the greatest missed opportunity of their life? Those thoughts have changed them. Because now they are not only afraid of confessing. They are afraid of never confessing. That fear is stronger. And when fear of loss becomes greater than fear of vulnerability, people do things they once thought impossible. That is the stage they are entering. The stage where hidden love becomes visible. The stage where restraint begins to crack. The stage where the heart starts overruling logic. Do not be surprised if they begin acting differently. More intentional. More emotionally present. More unable to hide what has always been there. Because the version of them that kept everything buried is getting tired. They are exhausted from pretending this means less than it does. Exhausted from acting casual when nothing about you has ever felt casual to them. Exhausted from carrying emotions that have become too heavy to keep hidden. And deep down, they know a moment is coming. A moment where something will happen. A conversation. An opportunity. A shift in timing. And they will no longer be able to hold back. When that moment arrives, what spills from them may shock even you. Because what they have hidden is deeper than affection. It is not just that they like you. It is that they saw something in you from the beginning that made their heart whisper. There you are. And since that day, no matter what changed around them, that feeling never left. It only matured. It only intensified. It only became more undeniable. So if you have been wondering whether you mattered, whether you were imagined in their thoughts, whether their silence meant indifference, erase that doubt now. Because their silence was never emptiness. It was restraint. It was fear. It was emotional overwhelm. It was someone trying desperately to control feelings that refused to be controlled. But that control is weakening. And the truth they have buried. The confession they rehearse in their mind. The emotions they keep swallowing back. The words they almost say and then stop. They are nearing the moment of release. Because hearts can only stay silent for so long before honesty demands its turn. And when this person finally speaks, when they finally stop hiding behind hesitation, when they finally reveal what they knew from the first day they saw you, you may realize this connection was even deeper than you thought. Because what they are preparing to admit next is not just that they love you. It is why they believe losing you would break them more than they have ever admitted. And that truth changes everything. To be continued. My beloved child. What they are preparing to admit next is the part they have hidden from everyone. Not only from you, but from themselves for far too long. Because loving you was never the hardest part. The hardest part was realizing how much they could lose if they never said anything. That realization has been haunting them. Quietly. Relentlessly. In moments when no one else is around. Because lately, a thought has begun repeating in their mind over and over again. What if I lose them because I waited too long? That question has shaken them more than they will ever confess. Because for the first time, they are understanding that silence does not keep love safe. Silence risks destroying it. And now the possibility of watching you move on. Watching someone else step into the place they secretly dreamed of having. Watching life continue while they remain the person who never spoke. That thought is becoming unbearable. They have imagined it. They have imagined seeing you with someone else. Imagined hearing you speak about another person the way they wish you would speak about them. Imagined smiling on the outside while breaking inside. And every time they picture that future, something inside them screams, no. Because their heart has already decided what their mind kept trying to delay. You matter too much to lose. And once someone reaches that truth, they begin changing. You may notice it soon. The hesitation they once wore like armor may start slipping. The distance they once used to hide may begin shrinking. The emotional restraint they fought to maintain may start failing in small, visible ways. Because they are tired now. Tired of almost speaking. Tired of holding back words that burn in their chest. Tired of pretending this is ordinary when nothing about you has ever felt ordinary to them. They have reached the stage where every interaction with you feels heavier than before. Every glance lasts a little longer. Every silence says a little more. Every moment near you carries the pressure of things unsaid. And they know you can feel it. Even if neither of you has named it yet. Because energy like this cannot stay hidden forever. Sooner or later, truth leaks through the cracks. In the way someone looks at you when they think you are not noticing. In the way their voice changes around you. In the way they remember tiny details about you others forget. In the way they care more than someone, casually interested, ever would. That is why part of you has sensed it. Because your intuition has been picking up what their words have not yet spoken. And here is what matters most. They no longer want to wonder, what if? They no longer want to spend months, maybe years, carrying a love they never had the courage to reveal. They no longer want to be the person who let fear steal something real. So they have started preparing themselves. Mentally. Emotionally. Quietly. They are rehearsing the conversation in their head, thinking about what they will say, how they will begin, whether they should tell you everything, or only part of it. They imagine the moment constantly. The look on your face. The silence after their confession. The seconds that will feel like hours while waiting for your response. Because despite all their fear, there is also hope. Hope that maybe what they feel is not one-sided. Hope that maybe you have sensed this too. Hope that maybe the connection they have carried in silence has been living in your heart in another form. That hope is what keeps pushing them forward. Because something inside them believes this is not random. That people do not feel this deeply without reason. That some meetings carry meaning. That some souls collide because life intends for something greater to unfold. And whether or not they fully understand it, they cannot shake the feeling that meeting you changed the direction of their life. Before you, they moved through life one way. After you, everything became divided into two parts. Before they knew you, and after. That is how deeply you affected them. You became a turning point in their story. Not because of grand gestures. Not because of dramatic moments. But because your existence altered something internal. You awakened feelings they thought were gone. You made them believe in depth again. You reminded them that real connection still exists. And once someone experiences that, they never fully go back to who they were before. That is why this is reaching its climax. Because they understand now. If they lose you because life simply moved on, that is painful. But if they lose you because fear kept them silent, that would be something they may regret forever. So the walls are falling. Slowly perhaps. Unevenly perhaps. But undeniably. And when people spend this long suppressing emotion, the eventual confession rarely comes out small. It comes all at once. Messy. Raw. Unfiltered. Honest in a way that surprises even them. Do not be shocked if when they finally open up, they tell you more than expected. Not just that they love you, but how long they have loved you. How early they knew. How often they thought about you. How many times they nearly confessed. How deeply they feared losing you. Because once truth starts pouring out after being buried this long, it rarely arrives in pieces. It arrives like a flood. And that moment may be closer than either of you realize. There is something building now beneath the surface. A tension. A momentum. An emotional pressure that can no longer remain suspended forever. Life has a way of forcing truth into the open when the time comes. A conversation. A chance meeting. An unexpected emotional moment. A situation where silence suddenly becomes impossible. And when that happens, everything may change in a single conversation. Because the person who first looked at you and instantly felt their world shift is no longer content being silent. They want more than hidden feelings. More than imagined futures. More than secret longing. They want clarity. They want honesty. They want to know if the connection they feel can become something real. So if their energy has felt stronger lately, if their attention has felt more intense, if their presence around you has carried a strange emotional urgency, now you know why. It is because someone who once planned to stay silent is preparing to risk everything for the truth. And the next move they make may reveal feelings far deeper than you ever expected. Because this was never just attraction. Never just curiosity. Never just temporary emotion. From the moment they first saw you, their heart recognized something it had been searching for. And now, it refuses to stay quiet any longer.